Police, open up!
2 investigations from the case files of Lieutenant Joe Kenda. First, police find death and destruction in a quaint family home.
Bullet holes in the ceiling, bullet holes in the wall.
We can't even get inside because the doorway is blocked by the body.
This is like some sort of Quentin Tarantino movie.
Then, a 58-year-old mother of 4 is left for dead.
Her face was all beat up. Her throat was red.
It's an uncommon thing to see a victim who's been assaulted 3 different ways.
I cannot imagine the horror of finding out what happened to their mom.
Why did they kidnap this woman? Why are they torturing her like a cat tortures a mouse?
No!
They have a reason for doing this. It might be an insane reason, but it's a reason.
I don't want to die this way!
The human's first instinct is to lie. It begins when you're 4 years old. Did you eat that cookie? Oh, no, I didn't do that. Self-preservation, particularly when you know you've done something wrong. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
You know, I think we're going all the way this year, man.
I don't know, man.
It's an ordinary Thursday evening, and 22-year-old Fort Carson soldier Ted Clinkscale is relaxing at his friend Randy's apartment.
He's been throwing more completions, but I'm still seeing way too many turnovers.
Last 3 games, Ward's been unstoppable.
I'll be right back.
A few minutes pass, and then Ted hears something troubling.
Hey, what the hell y'all doing? Sit down, Tony.
He hears this commotion coming from his friend Tony's apartment downstairs.
So he jumps up, runs downstairs, and knocks on the door.
CC, Tony, you guys all right in there? Whoa, whoa, hey, I got no problem, man. I got no problem.
Well, that scared the heck out of him, so he ran down the street trying to find somebody to help him call 911.
At that particular time, I was working the cocktail shift from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning. My partner was Joe Barry, and Barry smoked cigars. They smelled like a horse blanket that was set on fire.
Man, kill me with that thing.
Oh, come on, Kenda.
I always had the window down because I couldn't stand the odor in the car.
564 on Fire 6, odor investigation.
Hey, close that.
Not until you get rid of that thing. Please.
We're driving around to downtown, which was our area that we were patrolling.
Go for 4 Paul 1.
And we get a radio call that there's been a shooting on East Willamette Street. And he said some of the victims have been taken to Memorial Hospital. And we both looked at each other like, some? Means there's more than one. Sounds like a pretty big deal.
20 minutes later, Kenda and Barry pull up to a modest apartment complex near the center of town.
Hey, Chapman. You heard there's more than one victim?
Yes, sir. 1 male, 1 female. They've already been rushed to the hospital.
The patrol officer identified them as 24-year-old Tony Wake and 19-year-old Cornelia Cobra.
The way I understand it, they both live in apartment 1 where they were found.
Patrol officers say they've both been shot with a small caliber weapon. They're both in critical condition. They also tell us that there is a 28-year-old male named Jerry Lee Bowers who has been shot dead and his body remains in the apartment.
Any witnesses?
Just the 911 caller if you want to speak to him.
I'll hang on to him. I'm gonna look at the crime scene first.
Yes, sir.
As we approach the door to this apartment, we can't even get inside because the doorway is blocked by the body of Jerry Bowers.
What a mess.
like he took fire from 2 different weapons.
He has a .38 caliber handgun loosely in his right hand. He has a gunshot wound to the upper thigh and his right leg, and he has a massive shotgun wound to the right side of his chest.
Got some shells over here.
Laying next to one blood pool is a .38 caliber revolver, and next to the other blood pool on the carpet is a shotgun.
They also noticed 2 shotgun shells laying on the floor.
What happened here?
Bullet holes in the ceiling, bullet holes in the wall by the front door and by the kitchen.
These weapons would match the wounds we observe in Jerry Bowers.
This is like some sort of Quentin Tarantino movie that happened in this very small apartment. Bullet holes that are seen all over the place, guns that were used. Crazy.
So when you look around further, there's some soda and some food on the table, some knitting needles and crochet work. It's as if these people were having a quiet evening at home and were surprised by someone coming in armed with a gun.
Why don't I head over to the hospital, see if the 2 surviving victims can give us an idea what happened?
All right, we'll touch base later.
So Barry and I decide to split our forces, and I'm going to remain there and talk to this guy who called 911. His name is Ted Clinkscales, and he's in the company of a uniformed officer at the scene.
So the couple that were shot, did you know them well?
Yeah, pretty well. Friends with both of them.
He said Cece was a homemaker. Tony worked for Ampex, which is an audiovisual company in town. So they seemed to have a real stable, quiet life.
Do you know if they'll be okay?
Well, they're in critical condition right now, so it could go either way at this point.
Oh my God, any word on the baby?
The baby?
Yeah, Cece is pregnant. She's due in a couple of months.
So we've got 2 people at death's door, and now maybe we have a 3rd one.
After speaking with the witness, Kenda contacts Detective Barry at the hospital for an update.
Both victims are still in surgery.
Tony was shot in the neck, but I think he's gonna be all right.
The female CC was shot once
In the arm and once in the stomach.
That's not good. Just found out she's pregnant.
Yeah, I just found out myself. It doesn't look promising.
It's a very serious wound in the lower portion of the torso because it contains the plumbing of the human body. When that's perforated by a gunshot wound, it dumps waste and bacteria into the body cavity, which can result in peritonitis, which can become sepsis and is fatal. You ultimately die from the poisoning of your internal organs by the bacteria found in your intestines. That's a very serious wound, and they really work very diligently to try to clean everything as they proceed to repair the perforation in the intestinal tract.
Any news on the caliber of the gun that caused the injuries?
Yeah, 22 rounds.
22?
That's right.
Well, there's no .22 caliber gun in that apartment laying on the floor, and Bowers' his gun is in his hand, and it's a .38. So who had the .22?
All right, I'm gonna head out of here.
See you back at the station.
Excuse me, are you police?
Detective Barry was approached by a lady. She had heard that her brother had been shot and had come to the hospital to find out what she could find out about this shooting.
No one inside will tell me what's going on.
What's your brother's name?
Jerry Bowers.
Detective Barry knew that Jerry Bowers was deceased at the apartment.
Very sorry, ma'am. Your brother's dead.
There's really no easy way to tell somebody that news.
No.
And of course, she falls to pieces. She's shattered. She can't believe it.
Let's go. Before you go, can I ask you a few questions?
Let me just get her back to my car.
This woman becomes inconsolable, and her friend puts her in the car. So when this guy comes back, he's quite shocked that this has happened. He said, I can't believe it, that he's dead. I just can't believe that.
He says, my name is Byron Myers. And the lady that's with him is Jerry Bowers' sister, Beulah Williams.
You know anything about why Jerry was murdered?
Nah, I'm just a friend. I drove Beulah over here.
That's all I know, I swear.
Barry thought that was unusual. So he says, I'm gonna need to talk to her later. I need her phone number and where she lives.
Mind if I take all your driver's license?
And by the way, I need your name and your phone number and where you live, too.
Meanwhile, back at the crime scene, Kenda picks up a new lead.
Detective Kenda, this is Randy Baker.
And he said, this is a witness that has just decided to come forward. He also lives upstairs in this house. And I said, so what do you have to tell me, Randy?
So, do you know anything about what happened in the apartment earlier tonight?
Yeah, I was there.
You were in the apartment when the shooting took place?
That's right.
Oh my, Randy, you really are the witness I've been looking for. We're investigating the death of Jerry Lee Bowers, who shot twice in this apartment on Willamette Street. And the man and woman who lived there are also shot, and the woman is 7 months pregnant. We've now developed a witness who said he was present when everyone got shot in this apartment.
He identified himself as 18-year-old Randy Baker.
Why don't you walk me through what happened?
Well, sure, I was taking out the trash. Then all of a sudden, felt something dig into my back. Don't do anything stupid. We're going up to Tony's apartment, all right?
Randy said that he was scared to death and didn't dare look behind him to see who this person was, but that he could also hear two other people talking behind him.
Knock.
They stood behind him, and these guys used Randy as a decoy, basically.
It's Randy.
Hey, Randy. Whoa, what the hell are y'all doing?
Randy says that they pushed him down to the floor. He closed his eyes tightly and put his hands over his head.
Everyone's cool? No,
He still didn't want to be a witness to whatever was going to happen.
Where's the staff?
Tony, don't mess around.
He heard lots of arguing.
Nothing under here. Sit down, Tony.
Then he heard gunshots. Then he heard screaming, more gunshots.
The fear he must have been feeling, he must have been thinking, am I going to get shot? Am I next?
Then he heard people run off, and it got very quiet. And he finally looked up, and he sees Cece and Tony laying on the floor bleeding, another man bleeding in the doorway, and no one else is around.
I didn't know what to do. I thought they were gonna come back, so I got out of there as quick as I could and called 911.
After listening to what Randy has to say, this is a home invasion, and it's specific. They know it's Tony's apartment. They have planned this event, and they have a purpose.
You said they were arguing. What were they arguing about?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I had my head on the ground. I didn't get a look at anybody. I was just...
Mr. Baker, you need to listen to me.
I said, I believe you when you say you had your eyes closed and your hands over your head because you were terrified. But you didn't have your hands over your ears.
Two of your friends are fighting for their lives. Tell me what they said.
Look, it had something to do with weed. Tony sold on the side, but he wasn't a serious dealer or nothing.
So it was a drug rip?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But I remember one of the guys yelling, where's the drugs, where's the money?
These intruders know that Tony sells dope. They know he has cash in this apartment. They have an informant somewhere that's telling them this.
So now the thought process is, well, you know, this is a robbery. Were they after cash or were they after drugs? Or possibly both?
Just don't want Tony getting in trouble for this.
Look, I don't care about the drugs. Tony's already got himself in the worst kind of trouble. Thanks for the information.
So this is a drug rip that's gone very wrong indeed. We got one man dead, Jerry Lee Bowers, and two more guys that are currently in the wind that are part of this robbery crew. We need to find everybody involved and put everybody under arrest.
Kenda and Barry regroup to decide on their next move.
Who knows Jerry Bowers? Well, his sister does.
Yeah, it might be helpful to check back with Jerry Bauer's sister.
Yeah, Beulah? See if she's willing to talk to us.
Let's go see Beulah Williams and see what she has to say about her brother. When we arrive, she's still distressed, but not as distressed as she was earlier.
What did Jerry do for work?
He hasn't had a real job in months.
Was he involved in armed robberies?
Yeah, maybe. I heard him and his friends talking about trying to hit up some guy's apartment, but they stopped talking once I walked in the room.
And who were the other two guys with Barry?
Some Mexican dude I never seen before named Pete, and my friend Byron Myers.
When she said the name Byron Myers, Barry gave me that look that he knew who Byron Myers was. And as soon as we get in the car, Barry tells me about his contact with Byron Myers.
I met Myers at the hospital with Beulah. Let me know anything about what happened.
Interesting.
They gave me his driver's license after I asked for his information.
So see if we can jog his memory.
Go.
So we bring him in.
All I did was drive Pete and Jerry over there.
And he admits to being involved in this, but now Byron does the usual criminal thing.
I stayed down the hallway while they was in there.
He minimizes his involvement.
I don't know what happened. I never went inside.
This is total BS. You don't go this far in a robbery and you're gonna stay out in the hallway? No.
What about Pete? How do you know him?
According to Byron, he met Pete at a party with Jerry Bowers, and they discussed how to make a quick buck.
Bowers says he knows a drug dealer named Tony, and he says he's got a wife that's pregnant, so they're not going to fight back. We could rob them. And Pete says they sound like the perfect targets.
So we drove over there to see what's up.
Where's Tony's place?
All the way at the end.
Jerry saw this guy taking out the trash.
Yo, I know that kid. He's friends with Tony.
Byron says that Bowers identified Randy as a friend of Tony's.
Stay right there, don't turn around. We're going up to Tony's apartment, all right?
And they marched him to Tony's apartment door and got entry.
Oh my God, oh my God! And all of a sudden I hear bang, bang, and a bunch of screaming. So I tore out of there and waited in the car.
Byron says in a couple of minutes, Pete comes out and he says, Jerry's dead and I shot those two other people. We got to get out of here.
What's Pete's last name?
Cordero?
How about where he lives? You know that?
Yeah.
And he gives us an address for Pete Cordero.
I dropped him off at his place when we left.
I said, well, I appreciate that, Byron. You've been extremely helpful. And he's smiling at me. And I said, by the way, Byron, you're under arrest.
Please stand up.
What do you mean?
For aggravated robbery and attempted murder.
Oh, come on.
Hands behind your back. You have the right to remain silent.
After dropping Byron off in booking, detectives head out to find Pete Cordero.
You guys know what to do.
We take two other officers with us. Pete's a shooter. He's not just a guy with a gun. He's a guy who doesn't have any trouble using a gun.
Police, open up!
We knock on the door and there's no reply.
They're thinking, well, is he in there? Is he hiding from us?
I'll go around the other side.
I'll wait here. Gonna go around that side?
So they start walking around the house, looking through windows and stuff.
No sign of him.
Nothing on this side.
Looked like the house had been somewhat ransacked, like somebody had come in there real quick, grabbed a bunch of stuff, and took off.
You should put out a bolo for Peter Cordero.
Sure.
He knows we're after him.
Yeah, I just wonder what kind of head start they got.
We need to get our hands on Pete Cordero. He is running. We just don't know in what direction. We are in pursuit of a third and final suspect.
Police, open up!
In a multiple shooting event where two people were shot, including a pregnant female, and one person is dead.
Detectives have learned that their suspect, Pete Cordero, is on the run and may be headed out of state.
So they run a records check on him and find out that Pete is actually on parole out of the state of California.
So we contact the California authorities because when fugitives become fugitives, they're predictable. They run home.
In the meantime, Kenda and Barry hope the two surviving victims, Tony Wake and Cornelia Cobre, will be able to make a statement.
I need you to take it easy with them. Their injuries are substantial, and they have months of recovery ahead of them.
Of course. And what about Cece's baby? Is she gonna be okay?
Amazingly. Yes.
The doctor says, well, it's a miracle, but that slug went through her abdomen and never touched that baby. Baby's just fine. And she's gonna have a normal birth.
All right, thanks, Doc. I'll take Tony, you take Cece.
Sure.
Feeling any better?
Not really, but I'll get there.
When you walk into a room like that, the purpose is to present yourself as a friend, as a person that doesn't know anything about this event, just to see what he'll say.
You and your wife are very lucky.
Yeah.
It's a test of their honesty and a way to calm them down all at the same time.
Can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
Well, Cece and I, we were just relaxing. And I heard a knock at the door. And I looked through the peephole.
It's Randy.
So I let him in.
Hey, Randy.
Oh my God!
Whoa.
Oh my God!
What the hell are y'all doing?
But there were these guys behind him.
He says a guy forces Randy into the apartment, and he's immediately followed by two more guys who both have guns.
And what do they want?
Everyone's cool? No one get hurt.
Where's the money? Where's the stash?
I don't keep no cash here.
I know you have it somewhere.
They wanted cash.
Where's the dope?
And my supply.
Your supply.
Weed.
Tony tells Detective Kenda, I've been selling marijuana on the side. With the baby coming, I wanted to get some more cash saved up.
That's remarkably honest. To tell me the truth, that he's selling drugs.
I sold to Jerry Bowers.
Yo, I know that kid. He friends with Tony.
So I guess he led him there.
Tony becomes a star witness at this point because he's already implicated himself in a criminal act.
So you knew Jerry. What about the other two guys?
Byron.
Everyone's cool, no one get hurt.
I seen him around town, but the third guy, the Mexican, I don't know.
We've identified him as Peter Cordero. So what happened once they were all inside?
Look, man, I told you I don't keep
Tony, don't mess around. Just tell him where it's at.
Cece realizes it's not worth getting killed over.
Why don't you tell me where it is?
So she tells Pete that they keep it under the sink in the kitchen.
Pete can't seem to find anything under the sink, although it's there. He doesn't find it.
Can't find it under there. Where is it?
So he comes out, he looks at her and says, hey,
I'm gonna kill your husband for lying to me.
Tony!
fires 3 shots at Tony on the ground. Tony says that Byron ran out when those shots were fired. And then someone knocked on the door, and Pete answered it and stuck a gun out.
Beat it.
Which matches exactly with what the 911 witness had told us.
Beat it!
That knock on the door is probably what saved people's lives.
While the gunman's attention is focused on the door, Cece makes a move.
It gives Cece the opportunity to reach under the couch and pull out their gun.
Get out of my house, you prick!
Cece was able to actually hit Jerry in the thigh with one of the shots, and Jerry went to the floor.
Tony said he knew that was his last chance to save his family, and he crawled into the bedroom to get his shotgun.
Get out or I'll shoot you,
Put
too!
the gun down!
When he came out, he saw Jerry Bowers and Pete pointing their guns.
No, wait!
And he fired that shotgun.
At that point, Jerry went down and did not get back up. He fired another round at Pete, going out the door, but doesn't think he hit him.
Says that the Mexican guy named Pete was drunk or was high, and he was agitated and yelling and screaming and waving his gun around. And
I guess they must have shot it when I went for my shotgun. Oh, no.
Tony said he heard sirens in the distance, and the next thing he remembered, he woke up in a hospital.
But you gotta understand, I didn't want to shoot nobody. I didn't want to kill anybody. But they had guns on CC and my baby.
I understand.
There's no question in my mind that Tony and CC were acting in their own defense. Irrespective of the narcotic sales, these are home invaders who are armed. They fire the first shots, and Tony and his wife respond in kind. Absolute, clear self-defense. So now we know what happened here. We have Jerry Lee Bowers down and dead at the scene. We have Byron Myers under arrest. The only loose end here is Pete Cordero.
But it's not long before Cordero shows up in California.
Freeze, don't move!
Pete was located in Lodi, California.
Put your hands in there. Go down to your knees.
Pete was arrested and eventually extradited back to Colorado Springs.
Pete is found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 15 years for first-degree burglary and first-degree assault.
Byron Myers pleads guilty for his participation in the robbery and is sentenced to 11 months.
You want me to push him?
No, I'm fine.
You good?
Tony and CC did not face any charges for the shooting of Jerry Bowers. Both were acting in self-defense. And because of their cooperation in this case, it was decided that no criminal charges would be brought against them for the marijuana charge.
Tony and CC, later on, not only did they have their healthy baby, but they had another child and were not involved in selling drugs anymore. They did turn their life around. And so while so many of these stories have horrible, sad endings, this one ended happily.
Tony learned from his mistake, and so did his wife. They understood the mistake they made, and they made the right choice following that. Jerry Lee Bowers never had the chance. He made his choice and died as a result.
Coming up, Kenda must track down a monster who brutally attacked an older woman.
She's been stabbed multiply in the chest, beaten in the face. Someone tried to strangle her. When that failed, they used a knife on her chest.
Carl Walker is headed south on I-25. There's nothing out there for about 45 miles. So he turns up his music, settles in for the long haul.
All of a sudden, he sees a woman standing on the shoulder of the highway. And she was somewhat bloodied and appeared to be in distress.
Ma'am, let's get in my truck.
Let's get to the hospital. I'm up in here. Hold on.
A few hours later, Kenda and Detective Skip Arms are summoned to the Parkview Hospital to investigate an attempted homicide.
So what can you tell us?
The victim is a 58-year-old woman named Sigrid Griswold.
My mom was very altruistic. Definitely. She cared for other people. People loved her.
The sheriff's deputies say that a driver who picked her up found her at the Eden exit off of I-25.
Apparently her injuries are serious, and it's unclear if she's going to survive.
All right, thank you. Excuse me, doctor?
Yes.
Can you tell us about Miss Griswold?
We're able to talk to the doctor, and we were informed that Sigrid had bruising around her face and some puncture wounds in her chest.
And she's pretty damn lucky to be alive.
The treating physician said another quarter of an inch either way would have caused the blade to penetrate her heart and kill her. He said she also had bruises on the neck, indicating that someone attempted to manually strangle her.
Those bruises to her neck are pretty high up. Thankfully, whoever tried to choke her didn't know what they were doing.
What causes death and strangulation is the hyoid bone in the throat is crushed and it restricts the airway and you die of asphyxia. But if your hands are right under the jaw, they're too high in the neck to cause that injury to take place.
So the question many people had, why Sigrid? She just didn't seem like the kind of person that had an enemy in the world.
Her family's here if you'd like to speak with them.
And where are they now?
They're in the waiting room. I can take you there.
It's an uncommon thing to see a victim who's been injured 3 different ways. She's been assaulted, strangled, and stabbed. And that is very unusual.
Excuse me. I'm Lieutenant Kenda, Detective Irons. I know it's a very difficult time, but we'd like to ask you a few questions.
Of course.
Let's see.
Couldn't believe it when I walked in the room. Her face was all beat up. Her throat was red. She had scratches on her body.
We're very sorry about what happened to your mother.
Yeah, it's awful. I think she'll make it, though. She's a fighter.
She met my father in Germany. He was in the Air Force, stationed over there. He would go to dances, and he met my mom, I believe, at one of those. He walked up to her and said, "I'm gonna marry you." They moved around to Alaska and Washington, D.C., New Mexico, and they settled then in Colorado Springs. Moving to Colorado Springs was absolutely wonderful for her because we're in the mountains, and that's pretty much what she grew up with. They created from nothing. They had a house built. We planted seeds for the grass, and then she created a garden around the home. The trees now are quite old, and they're big, and they're beautiful. My sister's a gardener, too, so she's taken over that part. She loved that the most, being outdoors. She walked. We often had a dog, so she'd walk her dog up to the Garden of the Gods. What we call the White House Ranch is now called the Rockledge Ranch. She knitted, she crocheted. She made little doll outfits for me, for my dolls that were knitted. Just darling. She made huge bedspreads that were crocheted, which was a tremendous amount of work. She did one for my sister and one for me. She baked, she cooked. At anyone's birthday, she'd bring over a torta, which is a layered cake for their birthday. Always thinking of someone else. She was born in Czechoslovakia. It's right near the border with Germany. She had a great life until World War II. They were taken out of their home and put in a labor camp.
She describes her mother as a tough, strong woman.
I don't know why someone would do this to her.
Do you have any idea what she had planned today?
According to Michelle, her sister Robin was supposed to meet their mother at Acacia Park.
They were having a concert downtown where I work. So I had called her and asked her if she wanted to meet me down there.
She never showed.
When I first heard about it, I couldn't believe it. And I felt very upset, very responsible, since she was coming to meet me.
Do you know the make of your mom's car or the license plate number?
Yeah, sure. It's 87 blue Lincoln Town Car.
When Sigrid was on I-25, she was on foot. She didn't have a car, because whoever attacked her took it. The car is the key factor. Where is the car?
I'm gonna go ahead and put on an APB on that car for everyone in the area to look for it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. And I'll head out to where the truck driver spotted her and just take a look around. Okay.
While Arms heads out to I-25, Kenda and Michelle search through Sigrid's personal belongings for clues.
My God, the blood.
There is bloody clothing, one shoe, and a purse.
Is anything missing?
Where's her gold necklace?
A gold necklace?
I don't know why it was important to her. She loved that necklace. She wore it a lot. It looked really good on her.
She never takes it off.
Well, she's not wearing it now, so that's been removed. Has it been stolen, or was it broken during the assault? It's hard to say.
None of this makes any sense. I mean, my mom didn't have any real enemies, and that they attacked her like that. I mean, why? Who would...
I don't know. At least not yet.
We're not sure what this is. We're not. They have a reason for doing this. It might be an insane reason, but it's a reason.
Meanwhile, Detective Arms arrives at the location where trucker Carl Walker found Sigrid.
At this stage, we don't have the victim's car, so that might be in the area somewhere.
So what are we looking for?
All right, so we're looking for the spot where the body was, where she was stabbed. Should be a depression in the grass, right there.
I was able to find an area that had the plants all kind of tamped down.
Hey, Clemens.
Hey.
Check this out.
And I found what looked like maybe a couple of drops of blood. I'm thinking this is probably our crime scene. I was looking for a knife, but didn't find one.
Another key piece of evidence is also missing.
We still don't have Sigrid's car. At this point in time, we're sort of dependent on the aid of other law enforcement agencies because that's going to be a big key.
You might want to think about going home and getting some rest.
We're talking to Michelle, the daughter, who's been singing the praises of the level of toughness of her mother when one of the nurses comes up and proves the point.
I have some amazing news. Sigrid is out of surgery. She's still a little groggy, but she keeps saying that she wants to talk to the police right away so they can catch the guys that did this.
My thought was, you're certainly right about your mother. She is one tough woman. We have been told that Sigrid Griswold was the victim of an assault and a stabbing, and her car is missing.
Mr. Griswold?
Well, we've been informed that she's determined to tell us exactly what happened.
I'm Lieutenant Kenda. I'd like to ask you a few questions if you're feeling up to it.
Miss Griswold is in poor shape when we see her. She has blunt trauma injuries to the face and to the neck, but she has a fire in her eye.
Yes, I want you to catch those bastards. I had pulled over near where the concert was taking place.
Your keys, give them to me now!
No! This man came up to my car, shoved me over to the passenger side. No! Some other guy jumped in the back seat.
Once the second man jumps into the back seat of the car, she realizes she's in trouble.
Let go of me! Get out of my car!
And that she's getting kidnapped.
Did they try to rob you?
They looked in my purse. But I think they were just after my car.
You've seen too much, lady. I'm sorry.
And that's when it happened.
She says the guy behind her tries to strangle her with his hands.
Stop!
And then he says, my right hand doesn't work right. And he releases his grip on her.
Before I had a chance to catch my breath, he started strangling me again.
And he says to her from behind, you're a tough old lady, why won't you die? She distinctly remembers him saying that.
They pulled over somewhere. No. And dragged me out of the car. What? Let me go!
Shut your f***ing mouth.
Sigrid says they stabbed her a number of times, they beat her, and ultimately they left in her car.
Can you describe these men?
I never really got a good look at the guy behind me. But the driver, though, he was probably in his 30s. He had dark hair and a mustache.
Did they happen to say where they were going?
They talked about going to Los Angeles and driving through Albuquerque.
Now, the reason that makes sense is I-25 and I-40 is the only route that you can take out of central New Mexico to go to California. There's no doubt that's their route. The West, in many ways, remains the Old West. There are very few highways that go anywhere of any significance. I-40 goes through Flagstaff, Arizona, continues on into California, through the Mojave, and drops on into LA. You don't have any other choice unless you want to drive all the way south to Interstate 10, which is at the New Mexico-Mexican border, and take that to the west, and you wind up in San Diego. There's no other roads in between. There is no other way to go. You're going to be in a dirt road that's going to die in 3 miles.
Detectives update their APB, including a description of the driver. And hours later, they get a hit.
Anthony, you see that car in the back of the parking lot, that blue vehicle? That vehicle fits the description of the stolen vehicle they told us about on that APB.
Yeah, but the driver doesn't have a mustache.
You don't get tied up in what they look like.
But the guy in the back seat does.
They're in her car.
Let's go.
Close enough.
Get out with your hands up!
They order them out of the car at gunpoint.
Hey, I don't know anything about this. I was hitchhiking.
That's the usual story. You don't listen to them.
Put your hands on the hood of the car.
If I was the arresting officer, I'd say, well, you hitchhiked with the wrong guy now, didn't you? You're under arrest.
The two occupants of the car were Wallace Glenn Eckersley and Daniel Immel. They were both placed into custody and elected not to talk anymore without the presence of an attorney.
A few weeks into her recovery, Sigrid is brought to the police station.
I remember when they come out, you can see them, but they can't see you.
Send him in.
I want you to take a look at all of them and see if you recognize anyone.
It is very critical that our victim assist the police in identifying who these individuals were, that they were not hitchhikers. They were the only individuals along the way that were involved in this.
That's him. The third man there.
She was immediately able to identify Wallace Glenn Eckersley as the driver of the car.
Are you positive it's him?
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget that face. Not after what he did to me.
Take number 3 out.
Now we want to identify Mr. Immel, who's the back seat occupant.
What about the other guy? Is he there?
Well, I never really saw him because he was behind me.
She says, I closed my eyes. I didn't want to see them killing me because I thought I was going to die.
Did you recognize his voice?
Oh, yeah.
So we decided to do an audio lineup. We got 6 people that have a similar tone to their voice, one of whom is Mr. Immel.
I'm going to put the blindfold on you so you're not influenced by anything, okay?
Okay.
Doing an audio lineup is very unusual. It's the only one I ever did in my career.
Number 1, step forward and say the line.
You're a tough old lady. Why won't you die?
We asked each of the individuals to make the same exact phrases.
You're a tough old lady. Why won't you die?
Step forward and say the line.
You're a tough old lady. Why won't you die?
You're a tough old lady. Why won't
That's
you
him.
die?
That's the guy that was in the back seat.
Are you sure? I'm absolutely certain.
That's him.
And it was Daniel Immel.
Remove number 4.
During the process, Immel's attorney suggested he cooperate with the police. And so Immel did that. He provided a statement as to why and what they did to Mrs. Griswold.
Kenda now has a clear picture of how the crime unfolded. It began with a few drinks at a local watering hole.
Daniel Immel is a drunk by his own admission, and so is Glenn Eckersley. They become friends.
Man, it's gonna take a long time to hitchhike all the way from Colorado to LA.
And they decide they're gonna hitchhike to California because that's where Eckersley is from.
Maybe it's a faster way. How about we steal a car?
The typical criminal plan occurs in less than 5 minutes through a haze of alcohol and drugs. And this is no exception.
I like it, yeah.
Hey, buddy, can we get 2 more over here?
Hey,
What about her? She don't look like she'll put up much of a fight.
let's do it. Your keys, give them to me now!
No! What are you doing? Let go of me!
As they drive out of town, the men begin tormenting Sigrid.
Once they got into the car and started driving, they realized that Sigrid had very little cash, but she did have a couple of gas cards, and the car had a full tank of gas. So they were pretty excited because they knew they could make really good progress with all that gas.
You have to remember these guys are intoxicated. They're criminals. It's like it's some game they're playing, except it's not a game.
You're not too bad for an older broad.
I don't want to die this way.
Shut your mouth or I'll break your neck.
No.
No, maybe you should. She's gonna be able to identify us if we just let her go.
Now it became much more serious. Now they're talking, they were going to have to kill her.
No, no, I won't. I promise.
You've seen too much. I'm sorry.
No, no, stop, stop.
Dan is wanting to strangle her and can't get it done because of the weakness in his right hand. He had been involved in a drunk driving accident a handful of years ago that caused this permanent damage. So he was unable to choke her to the point of causing death.
Ah, you're a tough old lady. Why won't you die?
Don't you have a gun? Just get it over with.
She's hoping that if they're actually going to kill her, she wants it to be fast.
I don't have a gun, but I do have this. Let me pull over, man. You don't have that blood in the car, man.
No!
So they get her out of the car.
Please, no, no!
And she says, I refuse to die like this.
Please, no, no, let me go, please.
They push her down on the ground, and Emil stabs her in her breastplate.
She feels enormous pain when she's stabbed, but she thinks it's in her interest to play dead, so she does.
Come on. She's dead. Get out of here.
She lays there for a few minutes till she's convinced that they're gone. She walks out to the highway, and finally a trucker stops.
Wallace Eckersley chose to go to trial, and the defense that he used was that of an involuntary intoxication. That he didn't know what he was doing and therefore couldn't be responsible for it.
Wallace Glenn Eckersley is convicted of second-degree kidnapping and attempted second-degree murder. He is sentenced to 40 years. Daniel Immel pleads guilty to second-degree kidnapping and is sentenced to 36 years.
I was satisfied with the outcome of the trial. My mom was satisfied. She actually forgave the two guys. This is the necklace that my mom lost. We found the necklace, and that was just a gift. It was a gift. She was an incredible mother. She took time for the kids, always.
This particular case is a case of someone demanding to survive when the odds are overwhelmingly against her. She was just not going to put up with being a victim of a violent crime. Mrs. Griswold is tough.